The second book came out a year later, and the third one a year later in mid-2006. Together, they make up a 1,500-page set of books that tell the story of the origin and destination of the Earth, the advent of 2012, and what we as a human race can do about it.
And you didn't think that would be a bestseller?
You know, they were nonfiction books, and I actually told Mary's my co-author, I said, you know, you buy 5 copies and I'll buy 5 copies and we'll call ourselves authors. And boy, were we wrong. That people were really interested in the information. And the 4th book is getting ready to come out this year, which has a lot of updates in it, natural disasters that have occurred, predictions that we made in the first 3 books that came to pass, and some things to watch out for. And then my own book on the side is Remembering the Future, the Physics of the Soul and Time Travel, and it is in production right now. It should be out in the next 60 days.
That's great. One of the questions from the audience, and I'm going to try and they wrote it in the chat room, is he asked, why is the sun getting closer? I guess maybe that's why is it getting warmer? I don't know. I noticed that we're going through a period of atmospheric cooling, but we're actually warming up. The planets themselves are warming up, are they not?
Well, actually, Earth stopped warming in 1998. All the glaciers on the planet, all of them, are all growing at a very healthy rate. What we are seeing is a broad swing between the cold temperatures of the winters and the hot temperatures of the summers. And what this means, no, the Earth hasn't changed its tilt on its axis. It means the Earth is being exposed to additional energy from outside our solar system.
And is that making the sun, is the sun growing because of that? Is it growing in size?
No, the sun's not growing in size. It won't do that for several million years. But when you go outside and expose yourself to sunlight, or to moonlight for that matter, you are being exposed to extra radiation from outside our solar system.
Now, does that have to do also with the fact that our magnetic field isn't as strong as it used to be?
I wasn't aware of that fact. You caught me off guard with that. I didn't know the magnetic field was changing.
That's what I've one of the right. There's the Chandler effect. I understand that, but Patrick Garrell, who wrote the Orion Prophecy and How to Survive 2012, he wrote that book, and some of the things that they talk about in that book is the fact that we have to go through this pole shift. It's almost like a reset button for the magnetic field of the Earth and for the sun. And I could be a little off on that. I'm kind of perusing my notes as I talk to you here, but
the sun undergoes a regular pole shift,
right?
And it's probably cataclysmic as far as the sun goes, but we don't really feel the effects here on the Earth, other than this regular cycles of the solar cycles. In the presence of sunspots and how intense they become about every 22 to 25 years. Unfortunately, we're not on the same curve now, so we're not really sure what's going on there. Earth, on the other hand, has not undergone a pole shift in a long, long time. It has, and there's a geological record of it, and it could happen in a few days. Literally, the poles could swap in a matter of a week. That's how quick it can happen. We haven't seen the kind of undulation in the magnetic location of the poles that would indicate that a pole shift is going to happen next weekend, but it is wobbling, and that can chain react into what's called the Coriolis effect, which is this wobbling of the gyroscopic fields, and then they'll just roll over on one another, and that will be cataclysmic for the surface.
Here's a little excerpt from it. It says, the reason that the pressures on the magnetic, it says, our planet is basically a dirt and water-covered magnetic generator similar to the core of the sun. The magnetic health of our planet is directly tied to the sun. As a noteworthy fact, the magnetosphere protecting our Earth has weakened constantly these last 10,000 years. No longer healthy, and it shows a graphic of what a healthy magnetosphere looks like. And I don't know how people are going to, how people measure that, but it says our magnetosphere is both weak and full of holes that are growing over these last few years. As the sun's magnetic structure nears its breaking point relative to the pressures exerted by the angular momentum, and I guess I'll have to read up on angular momentum, it will expand in a spherical fashion outward as the 11 centuries of stress are blown off. And I mean,
the angular momentum of the planets, it does tug and move the sun, but all planets tug and move the stars that they go around. The fact that the sun is going to be moved by the galactic plane of the center of the galaxy is probably much more significant, and Earth doesn't have near the tug on the sun that Jupiter does.
Right.
So, you know, the effect that we have on the sun is infinitesimal, and probably doesn't have that kind of axial effect on the sun that he's talking about. And maybe there's some argument that the magnetosphere is somewhat weaker than it was 10,000 years ago, but that would be a function of the differential between the rotation of the core and the rotation of the crest.
Doctor, with all this radiation that's coming in from outside our solar system, and with the extra radiation coming in from the sun, should I put down my SPF 50 in favor of lead-based paint?
Well, it's low-frequency radiation, so it's not in the X-ray or gamma-ray band. It's a much lower frequency. It's in the alpha band, so clothing is plenty good to stop it. But the idea is that the photons of frequency that we're being exposed to is a different set than what we're being exposed to by the sun. And believe me, those frequencies do resonate with DNA.
So, I guess in closing, because we got about 5 minutes left to go, what do you think? What do you think the future has in store for us as we head to 2012?
Well, I think that there's probably going to be a division between the awake and the asleep, and we're seeing that right now. Fortunately, we have a communication method that's the internet, and I don't know any other way to put it. It's bringing people together, not only in communication, but in like-mindedness and like-spiritedness, and it is having its effect, not just on the psyche of the human race, but it's having its effect on the energy state of this part of the universe. And seeing as how I believe we're the highest concentration of sentient life within 8 light years in any direction, that can have a heck of an effect on the universe.
I can totally understand where you're coming from, and I see, at least from all the different sources that I'm reading, I can see that it's a whole lot of there's historical precedent, and there's communications from the past from other civilizations that have gone through this. But in reality, I don't think anybody knows what to expect, do they?
Well, yes, I do think some of us do know what to expect, because we're in the process of creating it. We're doing it on purpose. So, of course, we expect it. What we want is for more people to realize that we do not have to march inexorably down the road to Armageddon like sheep or lemmings jumping over the cliff, that we are involved in the creation right now, and we're right in the middle of eternity. It doesn't start when you die. We're already in it. So you might as well wake up and get involved and realize that there's a purpose to life that goes well beyond stacking your garage full of toys and worrying about your 401k.
Because as we know, a 401k can erase in the blink of an eye.
That's all right. That's exactly right. 4 times 0 is 0.
That's right. Well, Doc, it's been an honor and a pleasure to talk to you. And, I'm absolutely tickled that you came on the show tonight. And we'd love to have you back in the future.